My name is Eric Corey Freed. I'm an architect. There should be a word for this, catharsis, because I have a lot of friends that have gone through the same thing I have. Which is, you're an architect and you kind of get good at building green buildings and you learn about them and get good at convincing the clients and you build a reputation for it. But then you reach this plateau. I feel the process is too slow. One building at a time. I started trying out different things to see what I could do to speed it up. I'm very impatient my whole life, and much to my parents' chagrin. So that was really a pivotal moment when I sat down and made a new business plan, really. And I said, okay, well, how could I still do the same number of projects and still be involved in their design, but not maybe get bogged down in the day-to-day, and then free myself up to do teaching and lecturing is what I wanted to do. And it came with a strategic hire, really, hiring a senior associate person who could manage the projects through completion and really gave me back 2/3 of my time. And that was really it. And it was a tough decision because in addition to being impatient and grumpy, I'm also a control freak. So that, I don't sound too good, I think, but so how do I do that and relinquish it? And I realized I just had to let go of it. I had to realize, okay, well, there are going to be things about the projects, decisions that I probably would disagree with my senior associate, but have faith in them that they know what they're doing and the project will turn out well, or maybe it might even surprise me. And it did. That's kind of the feeling I get. I walk through the projects now and I think, oh, I would have changed that, and but then look what they did there, and
some of our readers have seen you compared to Frank Lloyd Wright. How do you feel about that comparison?
It's an honor, but in a certain sense, I don't have the personal foibles that Mr. Wright had, and a lot of my mentors were students of his, and so I know a great deal about the good and bad of Mr. Wright. But I'm still in my, if you think about it, I'm exiting my residential project phase and entering more of trying to make a bigger impact and make a bigger change on the planet. I don't think he ever outwardly said, I want to make the world a better place. I think he more said, we're designing the wrong way, and here's what you need to do. And he said it very well. When I lived in New York, my mentor was Philip Johnson. And I met him as a fluke, actually, he'd released his autobiography. And he said something that always resonated with me, because he was always so good at just having such a clear vision of history. And I got mad at him once, and I said, why would you back the work of these crappy architects, Bob Stern, and people I didn't like? I'm sure they're nice people, but I didn't like their work. Why would you back the New York Five, John Hedrick, and all these theoretical things? And he said, and he'd probably be mad that I'm repeating this, but he said, dear boy, I back those because people can imitate those, people can learn from those and copy them and do the model. I can't serve up a Mr. Wright to them. Nobody can. There's only one Frank Lloyd Wright. Who can imitate that? And the fact that it's inimitable makes it hard. And it really changed my whole perspective of the business of architecture, the profession, because you realize it's not about being the best architect out. It's being what you can market to the public to make change. And it was such a fundamentally different shift from what I had known up until then of my old Wright apprentice mentors, who were very much they do 2 houses a year and they don't do any marketing, and they get mad at the thought of marketing, and clients will seek them out, and it's a very strange difference. And so that was interesting, but comparing me to Mr. Wright, I could only hope to get 1/10 of his career at the end of this.
Beyond being an architect, you've been described as a thought leader. How does that make you feel?
In my cynical thing, I think it's not that I'm a thought leader; it's that everybody else is a thought lagger. Really, that's the way I think of it. And I have the appearance of velocity because everybody else is standing still. So I'm not really going that fast. And I've also reached a point in my mind, it's been 20 years that I've been thinking about this, and it's like, okay, why are we still putting toxic materials in our buildings? Why are we still doing this? Why are we still building the same inefficient ways? Why are we building essentially the same house every part of the country? Whether it's Alaska or Arizona. I'm tired of it. I'm at the point of just frustration. people can't see what I see, I guess. And they're obviously here at West Coast Green, you meet thousands of people that see what you do, and if anything, coming here recharges me, kind of renews my hope in mankind. I've said many times that West Coast Green is my favorite conference, and it's not really that the content, the lectures they pick are better, because there's great lectures at most conferences you go to. To me, the real conference occurs between the sessions. When you're walking around and you're like, oh, there's Sim Vanderen, godfather of sustainable design, who's having a chat with Josiah Kane, who did the green roof at Academy of Sciences, and you think, that's just cool. Is it from a green nerd perspective? That's just really cool, and that's what occurs here. But you feel very hugged here is the word I think comes to mind. Like you're in a big kind of group hug.
So you've done a lot of work to bring other thought leaders, we'll say, together, like the Revisionaries and that whole project. What can you tell us about that?
Well, see, the fundamental. I moved to San Francisco in '97, and I came here, and I just started meeting other green architects, and some of them famous, very famous people, well, famous to the green community. And I said, hey, I'm new in town, and this is, I'm young and inexperienced, and this is what I want to do. And, became friends with them, and they invited me to be on boards with them. And I noticed a trend that every time I would say something along the lines of, we should make this information available to the public, we should just put it out there, that I received resistance from some of them. And then it dawned on me that they didn't want every building to be a green building. They liked the fact that what made them special and stand out was that they were the green experts, and they wanted to kind of keep their position, unknowingly, I think, as green experts. And I realized that it needed to be more open source, but we didn't call it open source back then. And that really changed. I was on several nonprofit boards, and I think it really changed my attitude about how the nonprofits reveal their intellectual property and how they should essentially give it away. My thought was that if you position yourself as the expert and you make everybody go and you kind of rise the tide for everyone, that it's good for everybody and it's a good thing. And a lot of people didn't. So it took some convincing on my part to do that. And if you look at everything I've done since, is really kind of follow that model of let's make it open source. So my first book, the Dummies book, Green Building for Dummies, I put as much of the book as I could online for free as the publisher would allow, because I don't make that much money from the book, but the publisher does, and they were not, they were not thrilled with it. But I wanted to make it a free PDF, and they wouldn't have it. But that's fine, I understand. It's great when you see that people come up to you and say, I've read the book, and then I get these emails and phone calls from people all over the country that I've never met that have gotten the book and then have questions, and I love that, because that means that they're not only did they absorb the book, but they're thinking about it and looking at new ways. And that's kind of the great part, is that suddenly what was a very insular process becomes a very open one, and there's something about, I think it's my fat cheeks or something, that people feel that they can just contact me out of the blue. So people just call me up, and if you think about it, go back to what I said before, here's the book, hundreds of thousands of people can read the book, and I can affect them with one book, whereas one building, there's the 2 people that live in it, and the 1,000 people that read it in a magazine, I guess. But that's altogether too slow. The book, I just think, God, that's impact. It can really make change. Which is why I'm, just finished book 4. Because kind of, books are like tattoos. Once you start with one, you keep getting more.